Last week we talked about gun sight a little more and TV shows, all that fun stuff. And this week we're going to be talking about competitive shooting.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast, where a dynamic mother-daughter duo share their adventures, tips, and advice. I am Mia, and I'll be accompanied by the one and only daughter, Leah. It is time to get to outdoors, hunt, shoot, and spend time with family and friends. Let's get this show on the road.
People are always asking me if I'm a competitive shooter, which I am not. We really only compete here at the house sometimes, huh? Maybe shooting archery or on Thanksgiving, if the weather is good and it works out, we compete shooting clays. But really, Leah's gotten so good at shooting that it's not really fun for me. So tell us about your history of competitive shooting and what tips can we give people who want to get started shooting competitively?
I started competitively shooting probably around 12 or so, and that was in a program called YHEC, which is Youth Hunters Education Challenge, put on by NRA. And in that, we shot 22 muzzleloader, shotgun, and archery, as well as some other events like wildlife ID, orienteering, things like that. And that was a lot of fun. I did that for 5 years, on and off. And it was a lot of fun. I actually got into it from a friend just inviting me to one of their practices, and I stuck with it. I know towards the end, I stopped shooting with the team because we didn't have enough people for a team, and so I started going by myself.
So in YHEC, you were shooting a lot of different things. Like, that's 4 different styles of shooting. Which one was your favorite?
My favorite was probably a tie between shotgun and archery.
Yeah. So archery, what kind of shooting were you doing with your bow?
In YHEC, it is a hunting scenario, so they'll have 3D targets. I know a memorable stage was shooting from a boat. It wasn't in water, but you couldn't move it or anything, and things like that. You can't have rangefinders, which is always a lot of fun to guess ranges.
Yeah. In that, I'm just like taking it off guard or off track because she said about shooting from a boat, and just last week she was out here in our pond at our house shooting our 3D elk from the boat in the water in a canoe and hitting the kill zone every shot. So she's pretty amazing with her bow. And I do know it's one of her favorites. Which was your second favorite or your other favorite? You said there were 2. What's the other one?
Shotgun.
Shotgun, and tell us about that. What were you shooting with shotgun at YHEC?
At YHEC, it was more of sporting clays. I know at practices we'll do 5-stand, or depending where we go, we'll shoot trap or skeet where we practiced. And I actually still compete in shotgun now, even outside of YHEC.
Yeah, well, like she said, it was hard getting a whole team together for the YHEC group. And since they weren't having practices or competitions, another friend told us of a shooting range where she could go and shoot trap. So it kept her in practice. And tell us the difference. When you started going to the trap club, you had been shooting pretty much sporting clays, right? Tell us about your experience going from sporting clays to trap.
That was a huge difference for sure. I know with sporting clays, you can't mount your gun till you see the bird. And so in trap, they were like, "You haven't shot very much trap, have you?" I was like, "Well, no." And they're like, "You can mount your gun before you say pull and save the whole time." And I was like, that just seems ridiculous. Like, this is so new to me.
Yeah, and that wasn't really a big deal because at one of the national competitions for YHEC, she actually was penalized a bird or something because she mounted her gun too soon when she said pull. So when we went to the trap range and they told her she could mount her gun, it was like, what? Like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So that was an adjustment period going from not having your gun already mounted to having it mounted. What are the big differences between trap and sporting clays?
Trap is more of a straightaway bird, whereas sporting clays can come from left to right, over your head, coming at you, going straight up. They can come from all over the place.
Yeah, and that's same with 5-stand also, if people
Right.
don't know. And if you don't know what 5-stand is, there's an article that I've written at Beretta USA blog about it. I'll put a link in the show notes where you can learn more about those. But when you're shooting trap now, what kind of tips do you have for somebody if they want to go and start competing? What are your suggestions? Where do they go and get started?
I think just find a local shotgun range. I know everyone at most ranges are really nice and always very welcoming. You don't even have to be a member of the range most of the time. I know that's how I started with trap. I didn't know really anyone at that range, but they just took me right under their wing and showed me how to do everything. And also be open to coaching, because I know I had shot shotgun for a really long time, but trying a different sport in shotgun, I needed a lot of coaching. And I even got coaching from one of the Olympic shooters
Right.
on trap.
Janessa Beeman came down and hunted turkeys with us.
Yes.
And Leah had a competition while Janessa was here. And she came to the range and gave Leah some tips, which were very helpful.
Yeah, that really helped with all my shooting. And I actually won competitions after that with her help. And I just got so much more comfortable with my gun and being on the line and all of that. So coaching
is a good thing.
Yeah.
On that note, I have to insert a little caution, because a big thing that I've noticed, and I've seen people do it to Leah. Leah shoots shotguns all the time, and Leah is pretty strong. She's a little person. Well, you're taller than me, but she's a petite girl. And the first thing, if she starts missing birds, the first thing people will say is that gun's too big for her. And I have to just call out baloney, because she shoots the gun all the time. Usually she's picking up her head, she's moving her eyes, different things like that. So be careful in the coaching that you get, because it's not always that you need to buy a new gun.
Yeah.
Although Leah always wants new guns.
Yes. Always want a new shotgun. But with that too, I do get a lot of coaching from other shooters at the range, but I kind of just listen to them, nod my head, thank you for the help. And if it doesn't work for me, I don't do it. It's not something where I need to do it because they said I have to. It's every tip that I can get helps. And if it doesn't work for me, but it works for them, then that's good.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. That's something that makes me think of shotgun range as well as golf. And I say that because I golf when I have some spare time, and the same thing, if you've ever golfed, someone will tell you, do this, do that, do that. They give you like 20 tips. And what happens when someone gives you all this advice? It overwhelms you and nothing works. It makes you worse. So you have to focus on one tip and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then like she said, throw that one out, try a different tip, or maybe just go back to the basics and start there. It also made me think of something. She said that she always tells them thank you and she appreciates their help. Leah, what is the etiquette at shotgun range? Is it pretty strict? What do you do at the shotgun range your first time to a trap range or skeet? Obviously, safety is always an issue. Like, keep your muzzles pointed in safe direction, guns unloaded till you get up there. What other etiquette do you have to obey at shotgun ranges?
There is actually very strict rules on the etiquette. I guess it's not very strict, but highly recommended you do. I know our first time I went with one of my friends, and they have the voice automated thrower, so you just say pull and it throws it. Well, my friend had never shot with those, and so he was trying to talk to me on the line, And so when he would talk, it would throw the birds and all the other people there trying to shoot. And I remember...
Birds are flying.
Yeah.
Clay, and birds are clays, so if anybody doesn't know what that is. So these orange discs are flying out, and the local or the regulars were like, hey, be quiet over there.
Yeah, they had to come tell us to pipe down. And so that's a good one. Don't talk on the line. And actually, even if you shoot bad and you're like, oh darn, it'll throw. It doesn't just go off of pull. You can say, crap, oh my gosh. And just any noise will make it go off. So that's a huge one. And another huge one is not being distracting on the line. Like throwing your gun around or doing your arms, throwing them. And I know a lot of the shooters wear blinders on their glasses, but I personally don't. And I can see all of that stuff. People throwing their arms up in the air, just thrashing around on the line. And I know sometimes I get pretty frustrated with a bird or myself shooting wrong, but it's not too nice to distract the shooter next to you as they're trying to shoot.
Right, good point. And that leads me to think of something else that we learned when you started going to the trap club. And Leah shoots a Beretta A400 XL.
Oh, yeah.
It's a semi-auto shotgun. And it wasn't a rule at practice, but it is during competition that you can't eject holes so that you're not. And basically with a semi-auto, if the hole flies out when it's cycling, it's going to go toward your neighbor and hit them. So tell us a little about what do a lot of people shoot, and how did you keep your holes from flying?
Most people at trap or shotgun in general are using over and unders, and I shoot this semi-auto. And I remember them saying you should get a catcher for your gun because those shells do get distracting. And I honestly love the catcher too because since I'm left-handed, I no longer get burn marks of those shells shooting out across my arm.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have to scramble to go pick up her holes after a round anymore either.
Yeah,
so
that's really nice.
And what are some pluses and minuses for trap or ski or sporting clays? What are pluses and minuses of having a break action versus a semi-auto?
For me, I like the semi-auto just because it is a lot smoother for me and it doesn't have as much recoil with the gun. I know over and unders have a lot more recoil and I could probably handle it, but when you're shooting maybe 1,000 rounds a day, I don't want my shoulder falling off at the end of the day. I know another one is that the holes, again, you don't have to pick them up, but the catcher makes up for that.
Yeah, it eliminates that problem. And with a break action, it's easier to clean than a semi-auto. But if you've ever watched Leah clean her shotgun, she does that in a snap. And actually, she has a video on my channel, on my YouTube, on Mia Anstine, where she teaches you how to clean the A400 XL, which was really cool because she does it so fast. And I don't know if you can see how quick it is in the video that we did, but it's... Once you clean your gun, you learn how to do it, and it's not that difficult, so it doesn't become an issue, right?
Right. I know my gun gets used for a lot more than just trap shooting. I've taken it to Louisiana and hunted ducks with it. It goes up to duck hunt here in Colorado every year, so it gets used quite a bit, and it handles all of that. And so that's what I love about it, is it's not just specifically for my shotgun competitions. It can be used for everything.
For everything, yeah. And that's a good point as well. You can use it for hunting as well as competition. And so if you're looking into getting into shooting, you can contact your local gun ranges, or you can even talk to a local firearms shop. They might be able to tell you where you can go shoot and where there's places to compete. You can also look online at National Shooting Sports Foundation, NRA, and organizations like that. Leah is a member of ATA, which is the American Trap Association. There's a lot of places. If you just look online, you'll find some organizations if you want to start shooting competitively. And Leah has also shot a little bit for fun in competition with handguns. But if you want to look into that, as I said, look at National Shooting Sports Foundation. They can show you how to get into different organizations there. When you shoot in your competitions, what would you say is the most difficult thing that you struggle with?
I think my biggest struggle is keeping my composure, whether it's hitting all 25 or if I dropped one or two. I am someone who gets very frustrated at myself when I shoot poorly, stuff like that, because I can pick out my errors that I had on the shot, and it distracts me, where I really have been working on just focusing on next bird. Like, yes, I missed that one, but I can hit this next one. And I know a lot of struggle is I get very excited when it's almost the last few and I'm like, I'm going to get 25. And that just builds up the anxiety. And then there I go and I miss one when I'm almost to that perfect 25. So that's probably what I struggle with the most.
And how do you combat that? What do you do to get over that anxiety?
I know shooting, I try to think of a song in my head that distracts me from what I'm doing. Any kind of song, maybe one I heard on the radio before I got there, but when I think of the song, it just kind of clears everything that I'm thinking about on the range. And then I'm like, oh, it's my turn. And just relax and oh, I'm just shooting. Mm-hmm. Instead of building it up like I have to shoot a perfect 25 or I might not win this competition. I think in YHEC I really battled that a lot. And then once I started in trap and got a little more serious about it, I pulled myself together a lot more and I actually won. I can remember my first competition at our local ATA shoot. And I won my division and everything, and I was so happy. But it was all because I kept my composure, and I didn't let it rile me up. And I even shot 3 or 4 perfect rounds, which was it made me so happy that I just proved to myself that I can do that, and I can get better and better.
Yeah, and I think in that competition, wasn't there one round where you even didn't realize that you had shot a perfect round till the last bird and you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't miss one?
Yeah, and that's how I distract myself from thinking how many birds I have. Yes, I do keep track most of the time, but every now and then I just distract myself enough where I still know I'm in competition mode, but not focusing so hard on what I'm doing.
Do you have any other tips for people?
That would probably be my tip, is to not get worked up. And a miss is a miss. You can always make up for it with the next bird. And because it's no fun to miss one and then you get mad and miss the next one and then the next one. Where you miss one and they're like, okay, I know what I did. Now fix it. And then you hit the next one and the next one.
All right, good point.
I think a lot of shooting sports, most shooting sports, are all a mind game. Mm-hmm. And so you really have to motivate yourself and really think positive, because if you think, oh, I'm not going to hit this, you're more than likely not going to.
Right, and a positive mental attitude is important, actually not just in shooting sports, but used in hunting and everything. It really improves your entire life, keeping that positive attitude. So.
Right, and I can vouch for that because I used to get very rage monster if I missed one clay, and now I miss one and just brush it off and on to the next one.
Right, next bird.
Yeah.
So you'll have to let us know. Tell us on our social media sites. Mia Anstine, I'm on all kinds of social media, and Leah is on Facebook, Leah Leggett, or her Instagram is Leah Huntress, and her Twitter is Leah Huntress. But let us know what your experience is with competitive shooting. How did you get started shooting competitively? Or are you wanting to get started? Are there links we can give you? As I said, I'll put some links in the show notes, but if there's something specific you're looking for, if we can help you, we'll sure give it a try.
Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope this episode was full of info for any people getting into competitive shooting. And again, ask any questions on our social media, or if you want to keep the chat going. We will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.